Welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host Caleb. Today we are building the new Noctis, and I did want to ask you guys, I'm going to try a new format in this video, so please stay tuned, look at the new format, let me know if you like it. We're going to try to hit like a strategy type aspect of the video, go over the strategies, the core aspect, what the deck's overall goal is, how it wins, and then we're going to go into a few niche interactions that are really just busted with this commander and just do some pretty flashy, exciting things if you can get those things off. Again, I'm excited to see what you guys think of this new formatting. Now let's get right into it after you guys click on that one link and claim your free $15. Additionally, as always, you guys can get 10% off all of your Tolarian library proxies whenever you use code DT4D. Now let's read Noctis, because this one is a little bit different than the previous one. He is still Esper Colors, 3 CMC. He's a legendary creature, human noble, and he says whenever a creature you control enters during combat, you may attach target equipment you control to target creature you control. And then we can pay 3 to exile Noctis and then return him back to the battlefield tapped and attacking under our control during our next combat step, and he will not be able to be blocked. So pretty useful there. Now, instantly, I thought Myriad. Myriad is going to be very, very strong here, and also I was like, let's throw ninjas in the deck. So we're making a Myriad ninja deck. Myriad's going to be amazing because we're always going to have creatures entering the battlefield during our combat step, and if you notice, his wording doesn't make us equip the equipment to the specific creatures that entered the battlefield. So we can always have Myriad creatures entering, and when they're entering, we can put our broken equipment on the creatures we want them to be on. We aren't, locked into making sure that those Myriad tokens are getting equipped, which is really, really good, because you know what Myriad tokens do after the combat step? They just disappear, right? So we're not going to be investing in the Myriad tokens very much. We're going to be investing in the creatures that we want to get buffed up, which is also going to be our ninjas. And I will say, this is just going to be a super fun deck because your opponents aren't really going to be able to block efficiently. We're going to send a lot of creatures at our opponents, and whenever those creatures aren't blocked, we're not only going to hit them with a ninja, and let's be honest, ninjas usually don't hit hard, but now the ninja's not just going to hit for 2 damage, right? Now the ninja's going to get equipped instantly with a heir, and now our ninja is going to have the base power of our life total, and we can just flat out start killing players this way. So the goal is equipment, low cost, high equip, and then we just don't pay the equip, which there's a decent amount of. So these ninjas are going to be massive. And then another thing that's just really good that we're going to kind of layer in with this deck is all of our Grim Hireling effects, just because Grim Hireling goes amazingly with the Myriad strategy. And then additionally, we're going to play the Tymna effects as well. So we get our card advantage from the Tymna effects, and we get all of our mana generation from the Grim Hireling effects, which, if you guys don't know, Grim Hireling is able to generate 2 treasure tokens per player hit per combat, meaning we can net 6 mana per combat, and there's 4 of those effects, one of them being specifically for ninjas, and then we're including other pretty busted effects that allow us to draw during the combat step, and then eventually we're just going to attrition out our opponents and win the game that way. And that's going to be the core of the deck and what the deck is trying to do, but let's get into specific things that are just going to be really busted here. The first thing that's going to be really busted in this deck is Halvar. It's a 4 CMC creature, 2 generic, 2 white, and he says creatures you control that are enchanted or equipped have double strike. Very, very good. He also says at the beginning of combat, you may attach target aura or equipment attached to a creature you control to target creature you control. So if you want to just switch around equipment, you can do that. We're going to be doing a lot of that in this deck anyway, so having another source to do that is pretty solid. And just remember, whenever we're playing cards like Colossal Hammer that just straight up gives our creatures plus 10 power, having double strike means we're hitting people for 20, and that's going to be absolutely devastating, especially when you talk about in the sense of commander damage. Now all we need is Halvar, Colossal Hammer, and our commander is just outright one-shotting people, and he does have the potential to be outright unblockable. So you can pay 3 mana, he enters, attacked and attacking next combat, and commander players, they're going to forget that that's even going to happen because he's not on the field. He enters, we attack Colossal Hammer, and then now he has double strike because of Halvar. We just get to kill a player that way. So again, there's really busted stuff we can do here. We can even pair that with Starwinder. Starwinder is able to allow us to draw cards equal to the combat damage our creatures are dealing, so we can look at 20 plus cards, find one of our extra turn spells, do that again, and just start killing the entire table that way. So this deck not only has the potential to win very easily through commander damage, you can also just start hitting players for 20, and that's going to kill them fast as well. So I wouldn't categorize this as a Voltron deck, but the ability to just one-shot players is definitely in this deck. Hammer of Nizan's amazing just in decks that utilize these low cost equipment that do take a lot to equip. For example, we have Doc Ock's Tentacles. This is a 1 CMC equipment, but it costs 5 to equip, and once we equip it, it gives a creature +4/+4. So the buff is substantial, but you have to spend a lot. But again, we're getting rid of that with our commander. We're just equipping stuff for free, and this is just going to help us do that as well. It's a 4 CMC legendary artifact equipment that says whenever Hammer of Nizan or another equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach that equipment to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has indestructible. So protection, free equipment, that's exactly what we want in this deck. Some other cards I want to mention before we get into the ninjas is Robe of the Archmagi and our Key to the Vault. These are just very, very powerful cards that are going to allow us to search for those extra turn spells when we are ready to end out the game and go for the win. Robe of the Archmagi just says whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw that many cards. This is not very good or efficient because of its equip cost, which is equip 4, but our commander gets past that, which is amazing, and it's only 3 CMC. Key to the Vault, another one that has a low CMC but high equip cost, 2/2 cast, 3/2 equip, and it says whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, look at that many cards from the top of your library. You may exile a non-land card from among them, put the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. So whenever we're talking about the context of hitting people equal to our life total, you can really easily imagine how we're looking at 40 plus cards with this, choosing the extra turn spell and taking an extra turn. And this is really good in the aspect of, looking very deep into our deck because we're getting card selection. We're not drawing 40 cards because drawing 40 cards will just eventually deck yourself before you kill 3 players, which is kind of insane to say, but it will happen. So I will say I like the restraint here, but even just hitting someone for 5, looking at 5 cards and casting something for free is still very, very impactful. Now let's talk about ninjas. There's some that I'm super excited for and other ones that are just in the deck to do ninja things. Again, this is kind of a sub theme, so we're not playing 20 plus ninjas. We've only got 9 in the deck, but the 9 in the deck I think are some of the best, so let's go over them. The first card I really love is Silent Blade Oni. This card is absolutely backbreaking, but there's not a lot of decks that really want it, so I'm really excited to shove it in a deck that really just wants this effect. Its ninjutsu is 6 CMC, but you get a broken effect. It says whenever Silent Blade Oni deals combat damage to a player, look at that player's hand. You may cast a spell from among those cards without paying their mana cost. This is really strong. You get a ton of knowledge because you're going to know what your opponent's hands are. And then additionally, it's kind of like discard. You're always taking their best card out of their hand. So they're discarding it and you're getting it. So you're taking their value while you're casting spells. I absolutely love this guy. We're also on Orochi Soul Reaver. This is one of those Grim Hireling-esque effects. Again, we're on 5 of them in the deck, or 4 of them in the deck. And this is one of them. He deals combat damage, you get the treasure token, and you get a manifest cards from the top of your opponent's library. So you're additionally generating a board state that we can use to ninjutsu other things in, which is pretty cool. And not to mention, this does happen during the combat step. So this will be able to trigger our commander. Higura, the Silent Wind. I like this because it's able to tutor up all of our other ninjas. Remember, this isn't a very ninja dense deck. We're only on 9. So being able to tutor up other ninjas with one of our ninjas is just going to be very strong. And it's going to allow us to kind of get some fun pieces into our hand. Remember, the ninja aspect of this deck is more of a fun, hey, we can do ninja stuff here, not an hey, we need a lot of ninjas to close out the game kind of thing. Yuriko's going to see play in here as well. Yes, I know it's not as good if you don't have a ton of ninjas to trigger it, but even just having a ninja in the deck that can trigger our commander and start drawing cards while also just draining our opponents seemed like a no-brainer here, and she's just going to get a little bit more insane depending on how much ninjas we do have on the battlefield. From there, we just have your classics that steal our opponent's stuff with our Nashi, Moon Sage, and our Fallen Shinobi. Now, let's talk about the Myriad aspect of this deck, because honestly, the Myriad aspect is the most powerful portion of this deck, and it's really what just brings the deck together. We have a few creatures that don't have Myriad, but kind of are Myriad cards in the same right. We have Adeline Resplendent Cathar, 3 CMC, Vigilance. Adeline Resplendent Cathar's power is equal to the number of creatures we control. Whenever you attack for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking those players. So now we get to trigger our commander 3 times. Very powerful. Anox Strike Leader, kind of the same thing. Whenever you attack with a creature or your commander, for each opponent, create create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking that player. So this guy can kind of stay back, protect your board. Blade of Selves, really cool, just gives equipped creature Myriad. Another thing that's really good about this is it's 2 CMC and 4 to equip, so it kind of fits in the strategy of cheating equip cost while equipping it to a broken creature. So we can ninjutsu in something like our Orochi Soul Reaver, and now we can have 3 Orochi Soul Reavers. So we're dealing combat damage, we're going to generate 3 treasure tokens per player hit, and it has Myriad, remember? And then we're going to manifest 3 cards per player hit too. So again, there's just a lot of fun things we can do once we start giving our board state Myriad. Iron Will Forger does a very similar thing. It says Lieutenant at the beginning of combat on your turn. If you control your commander, target non-legendary creature you control gains Myriad until end of turn. So kind of like a Blade of Selves, but it's not an equipment, and we can change it every turn without having to, unequip and re-equip it to a creature. Pretty good there. Biogenic Carapace is also very good here. It's 4 CMC, so a little bit more on the expensive side, but it says equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card for each modified creature you control. In the right scenario, we can draw a lot of cards with this, so I'm very happy to add it to the deck, and even on its own, you're at least going to draw 1 card off of it, so it's still at least giving you card advantage if it's the only equipment on the battlefield, which is pretty nice. Battle Angels of Tyr kind of do a little bit of everything. They also have flying, so a form of evasion on a creature with Myriad just means your likelihood of connecting with all 3 of them is just exponentially, increased. Battle Angels of Tyr does a little bit of everything. Now, 9 times out of 10, you're going to connect with all 3 of these because it has flying, right? And then if a player has more cards than you get to draw a card. If a player has more lands than you get a treasure token. And if the player has more life than you, then you get to gain life. So ideally, you hit with all 3. But remember, we're also trying to ninjutsu in cards on top of this and then equip a giant equipment to them and then hit our opponents like a truck. And the fact that it has evasion is just going to make that super consistent. Anduril also just kind of worked really well in this deck. It's a 3 CMC equipment that says equipped creature gets +3/+1. Whenever a equipped creature attacks, create 2 tapped 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. If that creature is legendary, instead create 2 of those that are tapped and attacking. Very, very good here. Again, synergizes perfectly with the commander. It's an equipment that kind of just gives you 2 tokens during your combat step, and that allows you to equip more equipment. If you guys have seen any of my other Voltron decks, you already know we're also on Cloud Midgar Mercenary and Stoneforge Mystic, along with Sword of Hearthenhome. The way this works is Sword of Hearthenhome is able to blink Cloud and Stoneforge Mystic, and then those 2 cards are going to search up any equipment we want, and we can keep doing this every single turn since Sword of Hearthenhome is able to keep blinking them. Very, very strong synergy, and we can even search up Blade of Selves with Cloud or Stoneforge Mystic. Then we get 2 Stoneforge Mystics or Clouds entering the battlefield every single combat. Last but not least, a card you probably don't see a lot in Esper colors, we're running Dragon Throne of Torkir. This is essentially Crater Hoof Behemoth. It's a 4 CMC equipment that says equipped creature has Defender and then pay 2. Tap it, other creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is that creature's power, and then it has equip 3. Really, we're just trying to equip it for 3, then we can instantly tap the creature, and then ideally that creature is going to have 10 plus power, and then our whole board state gets buffed up with all of these Myriad creature tokens, and we're able to just hit everybody with a lot of damage and maybe even win the game. That's the overall goal here. Let me know what you guys think about the deck tech. Link in the description has the full deck list there. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. And again, commenting on the overall formatting of the video would be very appreciative. With that being said, I hope this helped you guys in your deck building endeavors. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.